think? Good morning. Welcome. Great to have you.
Good morning, Hugh. It's good to be back on with you.
What did you think of last night's town hall generally, and then let's get to the debt specifically?
Hugh, I'll confess that I watched the Sox beat the Braves last night to once again win their road series to go back home to Fenway in the playoffs ahead of your Guardians. I've seen some of the coverage this morning. On the default question in particular, there's no reason to default. Speaker McCarthy and Senator McConnell both said we shouldn't default, but it's really on Joe Biden's shoulders. House Republicans passed a good bill that would raise our debt ceiling in a responsible fashion by reducing spending up to $5 trillion for 10 years, and Joe Biden has continued to pretend like that didn't happen and that he has no responsibility to either support that legislation or propose an alternative. Now, I know that they've begun negotiations this week. I hope those proceed in an orderly fashion and that Joe Biden accepts the reality that the American people sent a Republican majority to the House of Representatives in part to stop the runaway spending in Washington.
Yeah, when one thing President Trump said last night is when he was president, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were running a debt limit run. They negotiated. That's also what Barack Obama did with John Boehner. They negotiated. I don't think the president knows what's going on, Senator. Do you? Do you think he knows the details of this?
Hugh, maybe he doesn't even know that the House passed that bill 2 weeks ago. I do believe that this no negotiations posture is driven in part by senior White House aides' unwillingness to have Joe Biden sit down with Kevin McCarthy and actually try to hammer out in an hours-long conversation a detailed, complicated resolution. I think that's probably beyond his abilities at this point. But it's true what you say, that it's not just Donald Trump, but every modern president, maybe every president of my lifetime, Hugh, has at various points had to increase the debt ceiling, oftentimes with the Congress controlled by the other party, and we've been able to do it every time. And there's been a lot of emotion and drama and threats to walk away from the table. But in the end, presidents and Congresses of the opposing party have raised the debt ceiling, and they've been able to reach an agreement that did so, on better or worse terms, depending on how you do it, without a default. Joe Biden is the one who's taken the cynical and irresponsible position that he wouldn't even sit down at a table, wouldn't even negotiate with the people's elected representatives.
Now, I get upset because the White House says we're cutting we being Republicans, are cutting veteran benefits by 22%. You are a veteran. Do you think we're doing that? The House bill, does that do that? I haven't read it. I don't know, but it sure doesn't seem like something we do.
No, Hugh, of course it doesn't do that. That is nothing but a lie coming from Joe Biden and the Democrats. Kevin McCarthy called him on it in the Oval Office earlier this week. They're spreading those lies about House Republicans' bill because they don't have their own proposal beyond simply capitulate and raise the debt ceiling irresponsibly at a time when we're still running record high deficits. But it says nothing at all about cutting veterans' benefits.
All right. Now I want to switch over to the Judiciary Committee. I'm writing a column for the Post about Leader McConnell, and he's got a lot of nicknames like Cocaine Mitch and Midnight Mitch and the Grim Reaper. They ought to call him Mitch. Didn't I already tell you the answer, McConnell? Because he told the Democrats he's not going to help them pass judicial nominations. And Dianne Feinstein said it's not even a problem. You're on that committee. What is the situation?
Well, Hugh, just to tie a bow on the debt ceiling matter, since Senator McConnell said it earlier this week that we don't have a secret plan in the Senate to bail out Joe Biden, I'd go a step further. We don't have a secret plan to have a secret plan to bail out Joe Biden. Like, no one is sitting around thinking that if we get to this day, okay, Mitch McConnell and Republican senators are going to swoop in and undercut House Republicans and save Joe Biden. It's not going to happen. Senator McConnell and I and Republican senators have said since January, the American people sent a Republican majority of the House to put the brakes on Joe Biden's runaway spending. The sooner Joe Biden gets on with it and sits down with Republican House members, the sooner we can raise our debt ceiling in a responsible fashion. Now, to your point about Senator McConnell and judges, when Senator Feinstein came down with the case of shingles, she was not able to attend anymore. Democrats began to claim, this is paralyzing the Judiciary Committee. We can't confirm any of our judges. We need to do her the courtesy of, temporarily removing her from the committee. Never been done before, as far as I know. The only reason it would be necessary, Hugh, to replace her temporarily or permanently is so the Democrats can confirm judges on a party line basis. We have voted out of committee numerous judges over the last 3 months in Senator Feinstein's absence on a bipartisan basis. The only thing her absence has prevented Democrats from doing is confirming radical, unqualified judges on a party line basis. And Senator McConnell's simple point was, why would we encourage the Democrats to do that?
It's just unbelievable to me that it's reported as other than the leader always says what he thinks. He said this is going to be between McCarthy and Biden. I got nothing. I'll go down to the Oval. I'll sit in the office, but I got nothing to do with this. And he's right. And we're not going to help Democrats confirm radicals. Are these the judges who are being held up, the ones that didn't know what Article 2 was or what the Brady motion is? Are these those two?
That's a few of them. I think, Hugh, unless a couple have slipped by without my nose, I think we're only talking about 4 or maybe 5 judges whose nominations have so far not passed down to the Judiciary Committee. And I would point out it's not only because they don't have Senator Feinstein in attendance, it's also because they may not have the votes from the full Senate, and they may be waiting to keep those nominees in the committee until they can nail down that they've got an actual 50 votes for these radical judges. And in some cases, I think they probably don't.
Okay, I want to switch to Christopher Wray and the FBI and the Comer report yesterday. This stinks to high heavens. I mean, it just does. And first, your reaction to the 10 bank accounts and the 10 LLCs and the bank accounts and the $10 million. What did you think?
Well, Hugh, I want to commend James Comer and Jim Jordan and the Republican House members who've been digging into the corrupt Biden family dealings. I mean, look, Joe Biden's family doesn't have a business. It's not like they got into politics after a successful career as car dealers or plastics manufacturers or real estate developers. Their entire family business is trading on Joe Biden's influence in office, and it has been for 50 years. And if they did it when he was merely a senator or the vice president, is there any reason to think that they're not doing it when he holds the highest office in the land? I mean, when when Hunter Biden is getting millions of dollars from Ukrainians and Chinese and Romanians and Kazakhs, I mean, do we really think that Joe Biden is some kind of latter-day Metternich, that he knows so much about all these countries that he's going to get millions of dollars from them? Obviously, Hunter Biden and his family is trading on Joe Biden's name.
He's paralyzed by the lack of Ben Rhodes, who is the Metternich of MSNBC. He can't do a thing. But, Senator Cotton, I want to go back to these LLCs. They distribute money. What I think a special counsel is warranted for is those people who got the money needed to invoice. They needed to declare. I don't know that anything happened. We've got so much more evidence for special counsel than we had for the appointment of Robert Mueller. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, there's certainly a lot more evidence of wrongdoing by Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and Jim Biden and his whole family than there ever was about Donald Trump. There is a counsel, I think it's the appointed U.S. attorney from Delaware who stayed on from the Trump era, who's investigating Hunter Biden. There are reports that an indictment might be imminent. I suspect that there is an indictment, though, Hugh, that it's going to be on ticky-tack process fouls. It's not going to get to the heart of the matter, which is how the Biden family trades on Joe Biden's name and influence.
Well, this is, it is in Delaware. There was a meeting for Hunter Biden at the Department of Justice, which usually means a target letter. Christie agreed with that. Former prosecutors have told me that. But I'm not sure that we've got Wray and the FBI financial crimes team on this. Have you seen any indication in the Judiciary Committee that they actually are concerned? Because, $10 million to the president's family from Romania, China, and Ukraine is a red flag.
Well, no, Democrats on the Judiciary Committee, no, they're like a phalanx of bodyguards around Joe Biden. Anytime you raise with them the Biden family, and especially Hunter Biden, they basically just avert their eyes in embarrassment.
I just don't know how we get out of this box. Senator, let me wrap up by asking you about the president, former President Trump last night on Ukraine. Here's what he said, cut number 26.
I would sit down. Let me just put it a nicer way. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
How would you settle that war in one day?
Because I'll meet with Putin, I'll meet with Zelensky. They both have weaknesses and they both have strengths. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be absolutely over.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down.
Senator Cotton, there was not, I don't believe, I might have missed it, one question on China last night. There was this exchange on Ukraine. What did you think of it?
Well, Hugh, I suspect at some point the president also made what is an even more fundamental point, is that if he had been in office, as was the case for the 4 years he was in office, his war never would have started, because Vladimir Putin would have been successfully deterred from doing what he's always wanted to do going back 23 years, which is invading Ukraine to help reassemble the greater Russian empire. I suspect if President Trump is back in office, that Vladimir Putin will have more incentive to end the war if it's not ended by then. In the meantime, the best way to do that, the best way to force him to a negotiating table, is to give Ukraine the support and the tools it needs to take back its own territory and make Vladimir Putin realize he has more to lose on the battlefield than he does at the negotiating table.
What does General Secretary Xi and Vladimir Putin and Khamenei take away from President Biden's, I mean, it's not hapless, it's alarming performance of the last week, and then former President Trump's town hall? What do they think of American foreign policy right now?
Unfortunately, I think they think that they've got about a 18 or 20-month window right now to go for broke. I think it's a very dangerous time in the world as Iran and Russia and China have gotten more and more aggressive as they realize that Joe Biden is not up to the task of defending America's interests and helping lead an American order that preserves peace and stability around the world. So I worry very much that they feel that the next year and a half, next 20 months or so is when they should go for broke to achieve as much as they can of their objectives.
Underline that, America. Senator Cotton was the first one to call out the virus and its threat in 2020. He's underscoring what I think we are in a period of great danger. It didn't come up last night. I just cannot believe it, but that's the way it went. Senator Cotton, thank you. Don't go anywhere.